What is up, everyone? We are back with some more modern action, and we've got a special one to start off the week. This one is our first round of our 2015 modern charity event. We, of course, participated in the Sears charity event over on April 11th, and we've got 5 rounds of regular gameplay, and then, of course, our cut to top 8. The event itself went phenomenal. Of course, they were able to raise up $1,500 for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, which is amazing. If you guys have not seen our behind-the-scenes footage, check that out. But let's kind of dive into it, talk a little bit about the matches themselves, talk about the tournament a little bit more, and in particular, these 2 decks, because what was so cool about the 2015 format, this special, like, community format that exists, is there are cards in there that some of the players at the event in the tournament have never casted before. Some of the players had been playing basically Commander up until this point and had not played a 60-card format before. Some of these players had not played these cards since 2015, right? There was so many different cool uniqueness that came along with this event. 31 players came out to participate and play in this event. And we've got 2 decks to start it off, starting off with Dredge and green-white Hatebears. I'm very excited to kind of break down and talk about both these decks here. So let's start off at least with the Dredge deck, because it is already starting to do some silliness, as you can see. So, the idea of the deck is you're trying to dredge and throw a bunch of your cards into the graveyard, so then you could be able to cast 2 creatures in a turn to bring back your Vengevine. This is a time period before things like Price Amalgam was a thing, before Arclight Phoenix was a thing. So, it was a very specific way of utilizing Dredge, right? And how you're able to kind of cast 2 creatures in a turn to be able to bring back Vengevine itself. Also, Golgari Grave Troll is legal in the format, and we'll talk a little bit about that card as we get into it there. On the other side of things, green-white Hatebears, it's designed and set up to be a bit of a Death and Taxes adjacent deck. It has a little bit of Death and Taxes pieces, but by getting access to green, we get a couple other tools that we're able to utilize to kind of help us out. But right now, we're starting to see those taxing pieces coming out with Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, going to make non-creature spells cost 1 more here. So, of course, if you're interested in checking out more about these deck lists, we do have links to these 2 decks, as well as every other deck that we talk about on the channel over on our Mox Field. You can check the links down below, but also you can check out the 2015 channels. Well, I say channels, the pages for them, so you can be able to find out more info about the event itself, as well as the 2015 format, because it's a really cool format. It's got a lot of cool decks that are available to it. I believe both of these decks were borrowed for the event, because that was one of the things that you could be able to do is, so look at your collection and go, oh, I don't have a 2015 deck, but there was so many different decks that players were able to borrow and utilize, and it was a open deck list event, so you had to come with a paper deck list, because all of the decks that you could borrow were readily available online. So they said, come with a paper deck list or fill one out when you come to the event, and you hand it off to your opponent so they knew what you were up against, right? You could sit here and look at each other's lists and be able to kind of go, oh, okay, so you are running these specific cards. I need to watch out for this. I know you have this in your sideboard, things like that. Now, Spellskite is hitting the table here for the Hatebear player. Spellskite is the MVP card of Modern 2015, with Splinter Twin being the most powerful and probably the most popular deck that we got to see at the event. Having a Spellskite there to help yourself out is going to be very important. But yeah, these players had borrowed these decks. I don't know how much experience they had playing these specific decks, or, playing Modern in general, whether they play currently. But it seemed to me like, when the little bit of discussions that I've had with some of the players, they were kind of definitely newer to the decks in particular. But yeah, we see a Faithless Looting getting utilized here, dumping 2 Vengevines into the graveyard. So kind of a big setup turn for our Dredgevine player here, trying to get themselves in a position where they can cast 2 creatures in a turn. So you see the immediate, like, all right, we're going to send the team across. Our goal here is to kind of get one of the grave crawlers into the graveyard, because if we have a zombie, we can be able to cast it again there. So we do see a little bit of blocking here. That'll die, and that's fine. But Yeah, of course, this is going to be a continual thing that we'll be highlighting here for at least the next month or so. We'll be doing on Mondays, kind of doing a throwback to Modern Magic Mondays of olden day. When we first started doing content and content creation with our own invitationals was that end of 2015, beginning of 2016, back in the day, where we would stream up our content over on Twitch. We have since moved away from the streaming side of it. We'll still stream up some MTGO content, some special Commander charity events and things like that. But for the most part, we've basically taken it upon ourselves to just do the YouTube editing. This way we can post up and kind of show off what are the cards that people are playing, how are they going to be utilizing things, and just kind of release stuff at our own schedule, which we do have a Monday and Thursday release schedule every single week for Modern content. Saturdays, that's our bonus content stuff, where we've got at the end of the month is always a secondary format, not Modern. So we've had Standard, we've had Legacy, we've got Dan coming up at the end of the month. We've also got access to some Pioneer content. We're in the process of building a Pokemon Cube, so you guys can check out that. We've got 2 new videos up about that, so those will come out on Saturday. And then MTGO, of course, at the beginning of the month. So lots of cool content coming out on Saturdays for y'all to be able to enjoy. But getting back into this match here, you see a couple of tools definitely available for our Hatebear player that they're kind of holding on to and waiting. You see specifically that Dismember, Path to Exile. Those are going to be very important to deal with those Vengevines that are going to be coming out soon. But Dried Militant going to be hitting the battlefield again, help to kind of put a stop. We've got to see the Faithless Looting get used. For the most part, the deck doesn't have too much access to tools. When we think about Dredge in particular, it's not really known for running too many instants and sorceries. In this case, some of the ones that it might be able to use is like Faithless Looting. So, but we're going to see, can we get the 2 creatures here? The Tectonic Edge is interesting. We could have tried to, keep our opponent off green, do things like that, right? The hate style of it, Death and Taxes style. But Bloodghast going to come out, and here's our second creature. Going to be casting that Grave Crawler from the graveyard here. Triggers double Vengevine. Now, they do have haste, so 4th breed with haste. So big swarmy coming out here. This is the idea of the deck. You go wide, you get in there, and you just sort of put so much pressure on your opponent. Now, what's nice is these players were nice enough to have their phones out and be able to utilize the life totals there, so I didn't have to sit here and edit the life totals. Some of the other matches that you'll be seeing on the camera, I will be doing the editing for that. Now, going into this too, now we're getting into the thick of things here. There are going to be a few misplays and mistakes that happen in this match. That is okay. The whole goal of us posting up these sort of videos is for players to learn. All right, if you're sitting here, you're watching this, and you're going, oh, this format seems fun, I want to learn more about this decks, this is a perfect video for you, because you get to sit here and understand a little bit more of the nuances about how the decks interact and how they work. So we got to see a little bit of a combat right there, but not swinging with the Vengevines. Our Dredgevine player catches it right there, just goes, oh, wait a minute, they both have haste, I could have swung with those as well. So just little mistakes here like this that we will do our best to try to note and bring up as we go into it. If you're noticing something, please feel free to leave a comment and let us know stuff that could maybe potentially help players that might be picking up these decks, right? Oh, hey, in this situation, you could have done this differently, stuff like that. Super helpful for anyone that might be wanting to kind of play decks. Again, we talked about these are cards that players probably have never seen, or at least never casted before, especially if you're more of a Commander player or more of a present Modern player. These cards don't see play at all. You could see a couple of exceptions like Golgari, Grave Troll, right? Flicker Wisp, things like that. Yes, those are in current Modern, but a lot of the other stuff, no. So we have a little bit of discussion of hey, you will be able to blink something, whatever you blink comes back. Flicker Wisp is really good in this deck because of some of the tools that it can blink, like there are kitchen finxes and things like that you're able to sort of utilize this idea of I'll get double ETB, right? You can also blink some other things as well, but that is definitely something we have to kind of keep in mind. But Path to Exile gonna at least answer one of the Dredgevines, which would have been answered to when the combat would have come across. So definitely something to be aware of. But yeah, we do get to go find a basic Put on the battlefield tapped here. But yeah, Tectonic Edge, we could blow up and try to keep some of the lands in check. I know the list runs Ghost Quarters. So that's that Death and Taxes style that it does run. It gives you access to cards that you can kind of tax and slow your opponents down, while also trying to kind of play this sort of, I'll go like a mid-game here, beat you down with these like 3 drops and stuff like that. So it is a Vile-based deck in that regard. So we do Tectonic Edge. What are we going to target here? And that's, yeah, the discussion from the players. Great for the Dredgevine player to kind of point it out here of saying, hey, if you destroy this one, I will lose access to green. So we will be targeting the Overgrown Tome there, and that will be blown up. And Tectonic Edge, just like with Ghost Quarter, you know, both destroys non-basics there. Or can Ghost Quarter destroy basics? I can never remember. But regardless, you can't search for a basic off of Tectonic Edge like you can for Ghost Quarter. But it looks like we're just going to go for the beats here. 4-3, 2-1, 1-1, and 2-1. So, again, the sort of go-wide strategy. We've got a 2-1 first strike, an 0-4, and a 2-1 as well. So 4-3 with Spellskite. Looks like we're going to get rid of our Spellskite here. But absorb a hit. Get rid of the Bloodghast. No, get rid of the Bloodghast. Okay. Not blocking the Bloodghast. Blocking the Golgari. Or blocking the Gravecrawler here, which I think is really smart. Get rid of the zombie element and kind of shut off that line. Like we probably could have done our zombie before then, but that's okay because we've got a Grizzly Salvage to come out here. Again, talk about cards that players don't really see or utilize, but now any instants and sorceries are going to be exiled, but we get to pit at least one creature or land, so it looks like we're going to grab a land, but that Golgari Grave Troll that just went to the graveyard is going to be coming really powerful really soon because we now get one of the best Dredge creatures to ever see, basically to ever get printed. But yeah, we're going through doing the quick check. Oh, this will also get exiled. I'll lose my Dark Blast. So I do like this sort of element of, you know, keeping some of the tools in check the best that we can here. So yeah, of course, these matches were filmed up at Watchtower Games. So in case you guys haven't been over to that game area, they had a nice little back room that we were able to kind of do our filming and recording up in, which I was really happy that we were able to do. We also did that behind the scenes like we talked about of the event itself. But, you know, very, very cool place. Highly recommend going. Sounds like there will be another one of these events coming up. There's discussion about doing like quarterly or at least invitationals. Nothing is set in stone at the moment. I mean, the event went so well. So much money was raised for charity. So many players came out to participate. Some traveled very far for the event. I heard there was people that traveled from Ohio or something like that. So like 6 or more hours that they drove just for the event, which is awesome to see that they wanted to participate and be a part of this event. But let's see, what do we got here? Going for the Flicker Wisp now. So this is, yeah, so both are kind of confirming, can you exile anything? Yes, we can. It says now if you get rid of this, it will come back. The end step, right? Beginning of the next end step. So again, there's this discussion and conversation about it, saying, hey, don't forget, these can't block. Now, I like the idea of playing the Flicker Wisp, you know, having a 3/1 flyer, putting a clock on our opponent, because our opponent has no reach, no flyers of their own. There is discussion about saying, hey, you can also flicker one of your own lands, in this case, and then it will be able to come back. So there is that element. Another cool thing that you could do with the Flicker Wisp is if you go to combat, like let's say we wanted to swing in with the our Thalia here because it's got first strike. Either we trade the Bloodghast or we kill off the Bloodghast or not. We could flick, boom, bring it back, and then have basically that as an basically giving it vigilance, pseudo vigilance in a way, because it will be unblocked and ready to block next time. But so there is that cool element that comes along with things here. So okay, so there was a discussion about the lands that were destroyed and stuff like that. And then, like, didn't you destroy one of my lands with one of your lands? It's like, oh, yeah, my Tectonic Edge. But I also sacrificed this one to be able to draw a card. Because back in the 2015 era, they did not print any more of that cycle, right? There was no blue-greens. There's no red-whites that existed. It was just green-white if you wanted this ability. Which I'm actually in the process of going through my collection and starting to kind of rebuild some of the old decks that I had from 2015. I've almost got my Goryo's Vengeance deck together. And I've got, of course, have my Infect deck that I played in the event. But I also am working on Twin, Jeskai Control, and Abzan Company. And Jund. So those are the ones that I'm going to be like, I feel like it's a nice mix of things. I wanted to make my Jeskai Control very similar to like Shahar Shenhar's 2013 world list, and then just sort of update it with some other tools available to it. But we'll see once I get them all finished. I also have to start taking apart some current present-day Modern decks to do these because, you know, I only have a certain number of fetch lands, and I have 3 quivers worth of Modern decks currently, and I bring 2 to the shop for players to be able to play, so that's 16 decks. So, but yeah, I'll have to start taking some of those apart. Maybe ones I don't get to see play as much or use so much on camera for everyone to make some more 2015 decks. But all right, we do some block-ins. We do some battling out here. What are we going to go here? I like that Thalia play, though. That was really smart. Utilizing Thalia, utilizing the Flicker Wisp. All right, we're going to get another land here. Do we have any Blood Gas in the graveyard? Still haven't utilized the Golgari Grave Troll yet. But we do have an access to a forest, so... Nope, there's the Blood Gas returning landfall trigger. Our opponent's at 12, so we're getting closer to that second line there where Blood Gas gains haste when your opponent has 10 or less life. So, again, that sort of like aggressive line that we're thinking of is kind of the idea of this Dredge Vine list. There's the troll. All right, so Golgari Grave Troll gets +1/+1 counter for each creature card in your graveyard. You can remove it, and then, of course, be able to regenerate it. Now, you see scrolling over there on the side there, we did have a video that came out a couple years ago because Golgari Grave Troll is the only card to be banned twice in Modern. All right, it was on the first initial ban list when the Modern format was created, along with a couple of the other cards that you saw scrolling there. We talk about this in that video, but then it got to be banned a second time and has remained banned since then. But in 2015, where there's not all these other crazy cards that exist that you can exploit the Golgari Grave Troll as much, that it's kind of a safer and fairer format. You know, if you can call Dredge a fair deck, but it's safer in this format than it is anywhere else, really. So, you know, it's cool that you get to be able to utilize cards like that in this format here. So we'll see how will our Hatebear player respond. You know, life totals are even at this point in time, 12-12, but that advantage meter has now shifted over once that Golgari Grave Troll did hit. But we're going to be seeing a Flagstones of Charkir get popped here. So this is I'm going to target myself, blow this up, and if you are doing this, which is a perfectly reasonable line to go for, we get to get 2 planes, right? One off of the Ghost Quarter destroying it, and a second one off the Flagstones being able to find. Yep, so there, our Dredgevine player says, you're going to get 2, aren't you? And yeah, so they do the confirming, they're looking through it and checking. And now here's the other element of it is the reason why this could be a useful and beneficial thing with the Hatebears list is you notice we've got like the Ghost Quarters, we've got the Teutonic Edge and things like that, but you have things like Flicker Wisp that cost double white. We've got cards like Kitchen Finks we mentioned before, double white. So there are cards that you do need to play in order to kind of get them out here. So I guess this is more or less a just mono white version, though. I'm not really seeing any green for it, but there is access to potentially some green in the sideboard if you really wanted to utilize it. But I guess it's just sort of mono white death and taxes instead of just green white Hatebears. I don't know. Somebody can correct me in the comments too about no, this is 100% just the death and taxes of 2015 era. Can you tell I was not a Death and Taxes player or a Hatebears style player at the time? This was not what I was, not the decks that I enjoyed piloting. But I know some players that were really big into that. So, yeah, you saw the Ghost Quarter pop the Flagstones and grab both those lands. The problem is our Hatebear player accidentally put them in their hand instead of onto the battlefield. So they're going to be left 2 mana short. A little bit tough situation. But, hey, Golgari Grave Troll going to utilize that Dredge 6, the most Dredge available here, and we got even more tools added to the pile here. So things are going to get crazy. All right, bring the beats. Big punchies coming across here. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to be exact. So going for lethal. Do we have a way to stop this? All right, 1 planes, and you see, okay, before blocks here, lose some life, do the Thalia. And dismembering to -5, so that 7/7 becomes a 2/2, which Thalia will be able to just eat because of the first strike. Now, there is one thing to know, is Thalia is symmetrical. The additional cost for non-creatures is for both players. So there is that little element that should have cost 2 to be able to do. We had the mana to be able to tap it. Not a big deal in this situation. So that'll block. We'll block and trade off here. So yeah, very nice line right there, utilizing the Dismember and the Thalia. Love to see those sort of, big brain plays to kind of find the lines of going, well, this is this huge creature. How am I actually going to be able to use it? And that's kind of the nice little bit we're seeing here of that restraint that, when we saw the double Vengevines come back earlier in this match, there could have been a very easy spot where you just go, okay, Dismember one, path the other one, just get rid of both of them now and hope that's enough. But looks like Faithless Looting going to be utilized. We'll be able to flash it back, the one that was in there from earlier. And we're going to be doing some dredging as our replacement of our draw here. So dredge 6, dump 6 into the graveyard. 5 and 6. All right, that will be exiled. All right, and I love this here. Okay, if you are familiar with Dredge of old, this is, we've got so much in our graveyard, we get to do the Dredge thing, and now I'm going to lay my graveyard out so I can see all of the tools that I've got at my disposal, essentially here, underneath of my lands. So we get to see at least a good chunk of it available, the tops of the cards. A couple more trolls still in here. You can see some Gurmag Anglers, some Vengevines, so a lot of stuff available to be able to kind of utilize. I mean, the Golgari Grave Troll is definitely the big finisher that we're going to be trying to utilize here, but there's the next dredge taking place here. 6 more going in there. And we still have to discard 2 cards. So you could put those trolls back in if we wanted to, like, definitely something to kind of keep in mind here. But our opponent is down below 10, so any blood gas that might be in there, of course there's going to be 2 more still left in the deck. All right, there we go. There, our Dredgevine player did catch it and go. I do need a discard here. All right, Flicker Wisp coming out again. Nice little blocker. We see quite a bit of lands. But those should be on the battlefield. We should have more mana. Not that it makes a difference at this moment, because I don't think there is another creature or anything that we get to play here. Yeah, no. Just another Ghost Quarter. We could go that route too, is do the basic land check and start Ghost Quartering our opponent's stuff and check to see how many land like basics they have, because we can start blowing up. All right, let's start popping what we can here, right? Yeah, Ghost Quarter can also target basics, so there is that element too. But let's see. Do we go for... I think we can wait with the Flicker Wisp. I don't know. Like, I like the idea of eating one of the Bloodghast here is fine. And just sort of, I don't know, race a little bit more. Can we afford to, though? Maybe not. Because Golgari Grave Troll is going to be cast soon. Oh, yeah, there was that plains that got flickered out with Flicker Wisp. Just came back onto the battlefield there. All right, big five. There it is. Golgari Grave Troll is back. And how big is he now? Ooh, I don't know. Look at the art for that. I don't know. It's one of those cards that, like, it's been so long since I've interacted with this card. Just seeing it again, it's just like, man, this is some crazy looking art. Also, the regenerate element of it, too. Like, I always forget that it has regenerate. Oh my gosh. How big? 17. There we go.
And for my last trick, I'm going to play a land.
Hey, a land. Let's bring that Bloodghast back.
And I will pass.
All right, we've basically set ourselves up. Dropped the Hatebear Death and Taxes player down to 4. Oh, Vile, just in time. Just what we needed here. Oh, tough position. Now, this is game 1 in a best of 3, so there is options for sideboarding, finding some tools to help us out in this match to kind of make things a little bit easier for us, because, you know, there is definitely going to be some tools that we've got at our disposal that can make this match a little bit easier here. So I like that, just sort of like, you know, okay, well, I got an Aether Vial. And pass. All right. I mean, you don't know what's left in hand, so just send the team here and hope for the best. 17, 2-2s. Block the 17. Take the 4. Hey, there's the Blades. So
now it's sideboarding. You want to specifically put things in that target the graveyard.
So that's the other thing right there. Our Dredgevine player being
We're
awesome
interrupting
and
our
talking
gameplay to
about
let
the
you know
sideboard
about
stuff.
our new affiliate with Nerdgear. Nerdgear.gg/NanMan will take you directly to the website, and as you can see, they've got a bunch of awesome gaming accessories, from playmats, life counters with the life tracks, playmat holders, and more. So make sure you do some browsing on the site, find some goodies, and then use the code NGNanMan for 5% off your entire order. But let's get back to our gameplay.
As I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by myself. Awesome to see our Hatebear player, or sorry, our Dredgevine player specifically going through and doing a discussion about, like, hey, now we're going to sideboards. My deck is graveyard-based deck. You need to find cards from your sideboard that specifically target the graveyard here. So, like, definitely one of those moments that you're like, oh, okay, cool. That's nice to hear. There are tools available, right? We've got, you know, Rest in Peace, Grafdigger's Cage, things like that are going to be useful. Grafdigger's Cage stops Vengevine. Rest in Peace, #1 card, that's going to stop basically everything that the Dredge player is trying to do, right? It's going to stop Faithless Looting. It's going to stop any of the things that they want to be doing. But Gravecrawler already going to be discarded here off the Faithless. No Vengevine and no Dredge creature there. So tough in that regard, but not that bad to have to manage. All right, planes pass, no vial.
Play a swamp. Pass.
Land go mode. So both players just sort of stuck. Also, you can notice that our Dredgevine player did have to mulligan down. So that makes it even harder for them here to try to navigate through. But maybe they were getting caught and not getting enough lands for the last couple of rounds. Thalia is going to come out.
I totally didn't pay the extra for the Thalia. Oh my goodness, that would have changed a lot. Oh, and I didn't remind you. I will remember this one. Okay.
Oh, I think there was discussion about both players not paying the extra cost for Thalia last game, which does happen, right? Again, interacting with cards that we're not used to seeing, not used to playing, it's bound to happen.
I will tap 3 because I'm paying the extra for the Thalia.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, gonna pay 3 for this one now because we're paying for Thalia. But Grizzly Salvage gonna come out again. Let's do that top 5. Take a gander through and find a tool that we could use. We've got, of course, access to some creatures and some lands. I was like, yeah, that's a great creature to be able to grab here, helping us out. Satyr is going to be nice, being able to kind of do increasing our dredge action. But you see some of these abrupt decay is going to be useful tools, and starting to see those should give you a little bit of a hint about what the sideboard options are. But looks like we've got Kitchen Finks, double Rest in Peace. Do we want to play the Rest in Peace now? I mean, there's not really anything in the graveyard at this point in time that we're like necessarily worried about. So you're in this weird window of like, okay, can I get away with developing my board now? And we see that being the case here, Blade Splicer. And of course, utilizing the wonderful Infinite tokens. Shout out to Infinite tokens. If you guys have not picked up your set, you should go and get them. So there's the, of course, lovely little golem being drawn onto the Infinite tokens. I love this little golem. Pretty great. I am not an artist by any means, so being able to see players utilize the Infinite tokens to draw stuff is always a treat for me. But yeah, we put those there along with, of course, the big dice to help make it easier for players to be able to kind of show off and show the different things that they're doing if they didn't have the tokens. Guess what? Take a little break. Draw something cool. Have fun. All right? So let's see. I like the idea of developing the board. We were talking about that a little bit, of just sort of like, ooh, look at this. Okay, and if we had just jammed out like the graveyard hate that we had access to in our hand, and instead of developing our board, then it would have been met by the abrupt decay, right? The Rest in Peace that we were hoarding. So I like this, forcing our opponent to go for the abrupt decay on the Thalia, because they're trying to set up and be able to do another faithless looting from their graveyard and do stuff like that. But we're gonna have a way to respond to that. But I like this. We've got a lot of hate, but again, this is that weird moment of you only have access to one white. Right, one plane's got a Ghost Quarter, a Mutavault, a Tectonic Edge, but we can do a, Ghost Quarter planes into a Rest in Peace, and then start beating down with a Mutavault, a Blade Slicer, and our Golem here. Swing for 4. So I think there is that moment of maybe our player not being as familiar with Mutavault, or the idea of having so many utility lands. They did a really good job in the first game of utilizing Ghost Quarters and Tectonic Edges and things like that. But there we see Satyr Wayfinder again. Still nothing that we are that worried about in the graveyard yet, except for maybe the Faithless looting. But there is a Gurmag Angler, a Vengevine, and a Grave Crawler. So some of the tools are there, but no zombie at the moment. Oh, wait a minute. Dredging. Oh my gosh. This is the dangerous part of the not playing the Rest in Peace here. 6 cards getting exiled because now it's again fuel that we're using. Gurmag Angler going to come out 5/5. This is the second creature, so that means this Vengevine then comes back. All of this would have been stopped with the Rest in Peace. And it's got haste. So here's 4 damage coming back across. So big hits. But again, we're not sitting here and pointing out these moments to, like, say this player made a mistake, say this player were playing poorly. It's specifically to kind of go through and discuss lines and help players for when they're going to be in these situations again. All right, now we're seeing the Rest in Peace get utilized, which is still great. It doesn't matter when you deploy the Rest in Peace against a graveyard deck. As long as you deploy it at some point to hate out the cards, you're going to be in a much better spot. But I think it was that moment of maybe not realizing how explosive and how quick it would turn from going, well, you have nothing in your graveyard yet that I'm worried about, so why would I do it now? Why would I not just wait until you have stuff to hate? Right? But that's kind of not necessarily how it works. And I love this deployment of the Spellskite now. So that could also be why the player was waiting, is like, I need protection for this. After seeing the Abrupt Decays, here's how I can be able to protect this with a Spellskite. Not you going for any combat. I like this going on blocking duty. So we've got the Golem. We've got a 1-1. I mean, we'll take 6 here for sure, right? 10 total coming across to drop it to 6, but our 3/3 Golem is going to block the Vengevine. Golems have first strike here. Yes, you see the discussion of, like, are they going to trade? Nope, they are not. Take the 6. I mean, that you could do, like, you see the hesitation there of, like, I could do the Spellskite block on the Satyr, but you could just kill it with something afterward. All right, Lothless Troll coming down. We can start discarding to put counters on it, pay a black to regenerate it, help keep it alive here. So it's also got Trample. So, you know, Lothless Troll really good for being able to, like, throw those Golgari Grave Trolls, throw those Vengevines into the graveyard for kind of the big turn that you might need, and also set up for Gurmag Angler. So the deck is designed to be a very cool deck. But on the other side of things, we see another Spellskite, a Dismember, Flicker Wisp, a lot of tools here. But again, we're stuck in that moment of, well, I don't have double white. Could Ghost Quarter your own Tectonic Edge, floating the colorless off Tectonic Edge, go get a white, and then have access to 3 mana for Kitchen Finks this turn. Or you could do the Flicker Wisp this turn, and then flicker the Blade Splicer to get a second Golem, and then you have 2 of them to block the Gurmag Angler here. But let's see. I know we're sitting here and talking about these different lines that I'm noticing, but also it's so much easier to notice these lines, you know, being the eyes in the sky and being able to sit here and go, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that I totally can catch that moment. I totally saw this because, you know, we're not in it where you have limited information, right? Being in the moment, too, is also very stressful whether or not you're on camera. I don't know how many times I've played in a tournament or played in a match of Magic and just sort of been like, you know, locked in, missed played or done something or missed something completely. And that's also why we do these nice little benefits here of talking through stuff and putting stuff up on camera, because the goal of the channel is to make stuff educational and entertaining for people so they can not only learn but also just have some fun watching, because Magic's supposed to be fun. Even if you're being competitive, it's still fun. It's still a game, right? All right, we do the check.
It's just black flexible,
Confirming with the Tectonic Edge. All right, so it looks like we're going to go the route of destroy our opponent's land. And they start to do the search here, but we are confirming that, nope, it's actually Tectonic Edge, not Ghost Quarter, so you do not get to actually search and find the basic. So, got to do the look. We're going to shuffle. We did not know any of the information available, so a little bit of a misplay there. But that's, you know, again, part of playing with cards that we're not used to playing. I mean, when was the last time you saw Tectonic Edge in Modern? All right, 2015, 2016. It's been years, right? Years. Like, which is crazy to think about, that it's been basically a decade since some of these cards have been played. There's plenty of players that have not played with these cards, so, which is even crazier to think about, that it's been a decade since these decks were around. All right, Faithless Looting going to get utilized. It's we're digging, right? We're in this mode of I need an Abrupt Decay. I need an Abrupt Decay to get out of here. I've got some tools. I can just hope that I can hit with what I've got, but... All right, we're going to fetch here. Go get a green source would be my assumption. Oh, no. Go for the Blood Crypt. But I guess there's that other element of, like, what do we need, right? Ah, we're just going Hellbent. Let's go, again, go wide, go aggro. Let's make something happen here and send the team. And because my opponent has 10 or less life, this does have haste. All right, Golem, what you doing? Block the Troll. Block the Bloodghast.
So if this would die during combat, like this first strike, it still has first strike, damage all happens at once. Okay.
All right, so we're the debate about should we block. Pay the life. There's the Dismember trick again, utilizing Dismember and First Strike to help us out. Eat the Gurmag Angler. Trade off the team essentially here. We'll lose our Blade Splicer, but it's done so much work in this match so far. Ooh, big hits. It's like you block, so actually you have 2 more life than. But still, that was a, like, I like that, you know, big hits. If there's no Dismember there, you know, we get in for damage, and then we still have big hits to come next turn. But there we sort of got, oh, our second plane's nice. All right, second plane. Kitchen Fangs, let's go. Gain some life. And it's got Persist, so if it dies, it'll come back. Well, sorry. It would, but if a card would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile instead. This includes our own graveyard, right? Rest in Peace Centers, exile all graveyards. So we're seeing that sort of almost one-sided element. It does hurt us in that regard, but it's fine. It's not really, it's done its job, right?
I think it's more than enough, though. Yeah. You're feeling very powerful. I will.
Yeah, you see the, like, do I just,
Yeah, I'll offer the trade.
let's see. Block. So eat this. Kitchen Fink still lives because it's a 3-2. Block the 2-1 and put in a good spot here to now have an army. All the Dredge Find cards just sort of got eaten up that last turn, which is crazy to see that big swing. But this has definitely been kind of the match of those advantage meters swinging from one side of the battlefield to the other there, which has been really cool. Big hits coming across 6. Dropping our Dredge Vine player to 1. And we've got our 0-4 ready to block. But hey, that's where that Mutavault would have come in handy, right? Finish our opponent off. Flicker Whisk going to come. Let's flicker our lovely little Kitchen Finks in and out of existence. Gain some more life. So let's kind of bring that advantage meter even further onto our side here as we jump back up to 10 life total.
Okay, yeah.
Or sorry, 9 life. You only gain 2.
It comes back untapped.
And then they confirm it does come back tapped or untapped. And then they go, oh no, you got to use it like almost like to kind of reset your blockers in a way, right? Attack and do it. And, all right, tied up 1-1. Ooh, game 3. Graveyard Hate coming in clutch for sure there. So definitely love to be able to see that. Players, of course, we cut out a lot of their like sideboarding stuff, so there could have been some other tools they were able to add in here. We got to see that it really was sideboard cards made the difference. And that's the other thing about Dredge decks They do very well when there's less graveyard hate in the format. I mean, if you're playing against a white deck, you know there's going to be Rest in Peace, Grafdigger's Cage, and Relic of Progenitus. Those are really the only main graveyard cards that you have to worry about. Oh, sorry, Golem. We'll see you later. Maybe, potentially, in this matchup here. But looks like we're getting ready to go into it. Of course, if you end up losing the game, you do get to decide whether to go first or second. Also, because it is tournament magic, if you guys win your round, you get 3 points. If you lose, you get 0 points. And if you tie, you get 1 point each. But starting off, ooh, Ancient Grudge. And we see a Bloodghast. I like the Ancient Grudge sideboard card here, just to destroy artifacts. Also has that flashback. So in case there was, you know, pesky things like Grafdigger's Cages or things like that, we have tools to help us. Nice. Aether Vial from the Mutavault there. Now, the Ancient Grudge in the graveyard is definitely now have a target. Oh, Overgrown 2. I was like, but we don't have green. I spoke too soon because landfall trigger, Bloodghast will come back. All right, and we did get the judge coming in and say active player, turn 0. And they go through and they explain the way that works in turns. So it's going to go turn 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in alternating player position. So at this point, our Dredgevine players is turn 0 in the middle of their turn. After that, it'll be the Hatebears players turn 1. Then it goes back to Dredgevine for 2, and so on and so forth. There's the Ancient Grudge. Let's blow up and get rid of the Aether Vial there. So pretty powerful turn for our Dredgevine player. But looks like we got some tools to kind of help us out, except there's no white. Oh, no. Look at all these great cards that we've got access to, but not a way to utilize. So we really were, like, that was a snap-keepable hand with the hope of Aether Vial being able to stick around. Because, again, we got 3 colorless lands. So, pass turn here. Do we reset ourselves? That would be really rough if we did, but... All right, so turn 2 right now. Swing for 2. What do we got? Okay, a setup turn here. We're really hoping to hit like a Golgari Grave Troll or something. Abrupt Decay looks like a Kermog Angler as well. Oh, we got the planes off the top. Oh, I think we're on turn 3 though, because it was turn 0 for the Dredgevine, right? Or maybe they were. Maybe I was off on my count, which is very possible. We did not have a table friend for the recording because I was playing in the event. Maybe one of these days I will be the table buddy and at least help out with that side of things, or we'll just have a judge dedicated for it. We'll see. Who knows? All right, so here's the Death and Taxes stuff. The Odin Arbiter here going to make the searching libraries more difficult there. Grizzly Salvage going to come out. Look at that top 5. What do we got? Anything worthwhile? Creature or land. There's the Vengevines. There's the Golgari Grave Trolls. Those are all the things we needed last turn, but... All right, do we have... Gurmag Angler. Okay. All right, what are we getting rid of? Eat these.
Exile 6 cards.
We can't even fetch here.
For the that is 1 card, 1 cast per turn. I'm not going to get the Vengevine, but I am going to get a...
Oh, wait a minute. There's our land.
Bloodghast. Doesn't enter untapped. I will swing for 3.
Bloodghast. Comes back. Doesn't count as a cast trigger, so we won't get the Vengevine there. But there we go. Looks like we'll scoop it up here. 1-1-1 the result was. So very, very cool to see. I loved being able to showcase both these decks. It was a great way to start the tournament too. We didn't want to put any pressure on any players that were playing in it to be on camera. We eventually sort of like started settling in of like, hey, if you're at seat 1, you got to go on camera. These players happen to have been at seat 1 to start the tournament, and we got to see 2 very cool decks and at least start off and learn a lot more about the format and about these decks in particular going forward here. But that's going to be it for this first round of the tournament. Come back next week for round number 2. Of course, come back on Thursday for some more up-to-date Modern action, as well as sprinkling content on Saturday. But that's going to do it for us here today. Thanks so much for watching, y'all, and I'll see you all next game.